Kei-Jun, pleasure to have you.
Great to be with you, Fareed.
So you say that China is better prepared for a divorce with America than America. What do you mean by that?
Well, China has long been preparing for less exposure to the U.S., diversifying in all ways, not just in terms of trading partners, investment, but also currencies and payment system. And whichever president comes around, that plan hasn't changed. In fact, the first time around, the Trump tariff wars have set off this complete globalization frenzy among the Chinese companies. 80-something% of them have already implemented going abroad plans.
So they're trying to create foreign markets that are not American and things like that. But still, there's a huge amount that they do sell to America, and the tariffs would hurt, right?
The tariffs will hurt both countries, but you've seen already a gradual kind of redirection of trade to other countries. In fact, if you look at the EV solar panels and all these what they call new productive forces, very little of it is actually going to the U.S. But it's totally pushed them to embrace new opportunities and sign new trade deals and new trading partners. And in fact, after the first time around Trump war, global trade has actually expanded. China's position in the world as a share of global exports has actually risen compared to before, while U.S. is declining. So I think China's response is, while U.S. is kind of going back, they're going to open up as much as possible. So this is why Premier Li has repeatedly said unilateral opening up, zero tariffs on the least developing countries. We should not underestimate the degree and the pace of fragmentation that is happening, multipolarity, and the rise of economic blocks. We're already seeing the data, whether it's investment or trade, the non-aligned blocks with the aligned blocks and their interaction with each other. If you go around the world, you're asking the likes of Brazil or ASEAN countries, what are they saying? The same thing, diversify. Don't be at the mercy of the dollar or the US financial system.
What do you make of the efforts that President Putin has made, Xi Jinping has talked about, which is to get away from the hegemony of the dollar? That because the dollar is the international currency, almost 90% of transactions done in dollars, it means the U.S. can levy sanctions, it can cut people out of the countries out of the system. And obviously China, Russia, even some other countries don't like that and want to escape it. So far, it's mostly been talk. Is it more than that now?
I think it's much more than that. Whether it's quietly or not so quietly, building up this huge financial infrastructure that's enabled by technology, blockchain technologies, the channels of alternative payment systems, digital central bank currency, that's actually happening at a much faster pace than we realize in that part of the world. China has signed with 40 countries bilateral swap agreements to settle in the local currencies. Of course, these are marginal improvements, but you see the dollar slowly declining. And the fundamental question, even apart from financial sanctions, is that there's a dollar shortage. Emerging markets, the size of GDP, is growing massively. The demand for dollars is there. There's not enough liquidity. So now the interest rate is high, the dollar is at a very high level. This actually has a huge financial implication on the developing countries who are all looking to diversify.
So do you think the Trump administration will be surprised at how resilient China is as it tries to put pressure on it?
I think they will. I think, first of all, the resilience of China has been demonstrated to a certain extent. The economic challenges are primarily internally driven. Exports have actually performed quite remarkably. The other countries, not so much, not so resilient. China is not so opposed to a Trump presidency because they still see Trump as somebody who they can negotiate with, that there's room for negotiation, and that there is some space to take the temperature down and to manage and maintain the relationship. They've emphasized repeatedly mutual respect. That's not a high price to pay for the gains.
Kei-Jun, pleasure to have you on.
Great to be with you. Thank you.